originally, the initial value I got from Food Dog right off the beginning is the thought of, if you're going to 10x your business, you got to 20x yourself. If I had this level of support 10 years ago, man, I feel like I could conquer anything in the world. You know, I could probably be president of the United States if I wanted to. But yeah, it's incredible. The real value is that it shrinks the time, right? You don't have to go through the trial and error of learning these things. Is that when you're there with people who've been there and have done that and been through the process, not only professionally in your business, but also personally in your life, struggled with things in life, that's the fast path, is going there, seeing how they think, and that pulls you through and gets you out of the rut that you're in faster. It gets you to wealth faster. It gets you to health faster. That's the real value.
When I was 26, I moved from New York to California. On that plane ride, I read Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. The book absolutely changed my life. So since that time, I've seen Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Zig Ziglar when he was alive, Jack Canfield, Colonel McChrystal, the list goes on and on. One of the things, and I say this with great pride about Food Dog Group, dude, these guys are at a completely different level, 100%. They work from a different perspective. So the vantage point that they're coming from, and I'm not taking anything away from those speakers that I mentioned because they were fantastic, just this comes at it on a different approach and gets a different result. So again, I would encourage you to seek out the Food Dog Group for their personal development and personal up-leveling mastery.
The impact, I think, especially going through this event with my dad, kind of comes full circle because this is happening at a time where I'm about to have my first child. So us coming at it together, those lessons that I'll bring home, I can bring on to him. And then eventually down the road, maybe we will do the same. So it's already a cycle of just personal power that we've created.
Food Dog Group is like the family that you never had. You know, most of us have family that we're born into, right? And when you get to choose your family, that's what Food Dog is like. It's people who are hungry to grow themselves, who are wired to give and serve others, and to show up and be fully present for themselves and each other. And so if you want to run with a pack of leaders that are doing great things, that's a place for you. If you like to have fun and experience new things, That's what Food Dog Group is like. If you want to feel the support, compassion and empathy from others who are on a similar journey and share maybe life experiences where you get stuck, that's for you. And if you want to get results and you're looking for process, that is what Food Dog Group is about.
I mean, I would tell them to, to come to the training and try it out. And, you don't know what you don't know until you see it, and then you know you need it, right? And if they answer any question that anybody asks them, and how's their personal life, how's their relationship with their wife, how's their business, and they say, oh, it's good. If you don't say anything other than it's absolutely freaking amazing, then you've got a problem. You've got a problem somewhere in your personal life, somewhere in your business, and Mike's the guy that'll help you figure out what that is and then move you forward.
The biggest transformation was just being able to let go of all the crap. Just let it go. And it is seriously that simple.
The biggest transformation for me is her ability to let go. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just teasing. I'm just having fun. It's really just about that. That's really a breakthrough for me too. Just holding on to these things that just aren't serving us. Me. Things aren't serving me. That I had to get rid of because I got a lot of shit. Had a lot of shit. It gone.
What makes Food Dog different is super simple. It's because it's growing you. It's growing you, So all of the other companies I've been involved with, and they're great at teaching you how to do processes and things like that. And I knew from day one when I started searching for somewhere else to go that I needed somebody that would help grow me, because as Mike loves to say, to 10x anything, you got to 20x yourself. And Mike really puts that focus on us, to grow us, to allow us the ability to grow everything else that we have in our lives. So I would tell you, if you're on the fence and you're trying to decide whether to get in a group like this, I would tell you, quit thinking about it and jump. If you have that fear right now about jumping, it's the right thing to do. Don't be afraid to spend the money. The money's going to come back to you. You need to grow yourself.
The big difference right now for me is that being able to do this together.
Yeah.
It's one of the first mindset things that we've done together. I've always gone and traveled on my own to do this, and then we always bring it back and we process together.
Correct.
But doing this together is, to me,
I think it's been better to actually be able to physically do it together.
Because yes, she would do a lot of the traveling. She's done Tony Robbins and stuff like that, and she'd bring it back and we'd discuss it, or that night she'd call and we'd discuss it. And there's great things that I can learn secondhand from it and that she's learned firsthand. But being able to actually do it together, there's just so much more growth that is possible because I'm experiencing it with her, but I'm also getting my own perspective to bring to it that then we can discuss.
I would say just even in the last couple months, our relationship has gotten so much closer.
It's shifted a lot.
I know.
It's allowed me to grow from, thinking I can only do this to being able to do whatever I want. I just have to shift my identity. I have to figure out, or I find out the next one and I make it happen. And I know what my next one is. To, like I said, step into a role to help her to take on more rather than just being, a worker doing my own thing.
The whole worker identity versus other identities.
Yeah, like an advisor or, being part of this business. I've been in manufacturing for so long. Medical's different, mindset work is different.
Coaching,
I can do more than what I've thought I could do before.
You sure as fuck can do more than you ever thought before.
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I see connections that are really important. I also see me asking more people for help and receiving it. I've always been a lone wolf and feeling really alone with that. And I'm dropping my lone wolf finally. Whew.
That's good.
I know, it's great. But that's what I see moving forward is being part of a pack instead of being a lone wolf. That's been really rough. So I'm excited about that.
Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington, one of the original sharks from the hit television show Shark Tank. Have you had to make the choice between a fulfilling personal life or a successful professional career? This often results in either not achieving important financial goals or building up wealth at the expense of a rewarding family. Although it may seem implausible, people can achieve success in both their personal and business lives. Are you ready to meet someone who could have the answers for you? Meet Mike Agugliaro. He's an author, speaker, investor, and thought leader who has experienced several business exits that have been successful at the same time that his personal life has flourished. Mike is now sharing his formula for a full life through his company, the Food Dog Group. They have cracked the code, allowing people to grow and expand their entire lives to achieve the impact that they want while building the wealth that they desire. This can all be achieved while experiencing fulfilling relationships and family lives. You need to learn about Food Dog Group's unique processes, which combine ancient wisdom and modern strategies to elevate every area of life. Go to fooddoggroup.com to discover how Mike and his company can work with you right now. Thank you for listening.
When we break the tipping point, when we go over the edge where it's 3 million every month and 3 million's a walk in the park, guess who the game changes for?
All of us.
Everybody in the room. I am am with my beautiful goddess of a wife for over 33 years.
Mike is now sharing his formula for a full life, allowing people to grow and expand their entire lives to achieve the impact that they want while building the wealth that they desire.
So if you are a business owner, if you run a mastermind group, you want to be involved with Mike. Take it from me, somebody who's worked with him on multiple levels. Mike is the real deal.
If there's one person in my list of who to surround yourself with, it's Mike Agugliaro.
And now, please welcome Mike Agugliaro.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Super excited to see all of you here. Give me a big old boom in the chat bar. Give me a big boom in the chat bar. Hey, Kevin, Joey, what's going on? Carrie, nice to see you. Nick, my man, Michelle Wade. Hey, the rest of you, do me a favor. Come on camera, please. This way, I'm not speaking to a black square with a name on it. I want to see you. I want you to see me. I do want to set a little stage about what I'm going to share here. I'm pretty sure all of you know who I am. I'll give you the simple reason why you're probably here is the concept that I came up with is this synergized exit. Disclaimer, my results that I have, I don't know if there's a word beyond abnormal. I don't know. Maybe Aaron knows a word like beyond abnormal. So the fact that you're on this training does not mean you'll get any results. The other thing is this is 100% experience share. So this is not a coaching session. But if you take really good notes, I will tell you that my team, this recording will not be shared. So you got to take good notes. I will probably put it up for sale, but the 2 hours, it's going to have a $10,000 ticket on it. So if anybody does want this replay, it's going to be 10 grand for it. And the reason is because if you look at what I'm going to share with you today, and I'll tell you what triggered me to kind of, powered me up to do this share is, I know there's a lot of people that are sharing things, but like I've done well over 500 million in sales, sold 2 companies, well over 70 plus million, and impacted, not only did I change an industry, I've impacted a huge part of the world. And I'm going to give you as many things that I could think about that came to my mind in no specific order, that if you just walk away with less than 1% of these things, and you have the mind capacity and the willingness to do the work, you then could possibly have the abnormal results. And all along the way, enjoying a lot of the journey, still being together. My wife and I, Jennifer, who's on here, we're together, over 38 years. And all those other pieces that come through of really scaling legacy wealth. And then to get to the point where after all what the rest of the world looks at as success, you get to the point and you feel like you're not even warmed up. Like I'm not even warmed up yet, not even close to warmed up. And what I'm going to share with you is not like what we've done. It's what we still do today, right? It's exactly what we do today and what we do with other companies today. So does that sound like it's going to be a good use of your time? I hope so. And the reason I thought about doing this was a couple things. One, you really deserve every chance you can get to like hedge your bet against winning. You do. And the second thing is, like, I just never forget what it's like. Like, there's hard work, and then there's hard work, hard body work. You know what that means? Like, I never forget what it's like to climb through attics and dig holes and like come home and just like beg for the pain of your back and that damn chafing shit that might happen to you. Like, type in chafing. I don't even know how you spell it, but did you ever have this stuff? Like, you work so hard all day, you feel like between your thighs is bleeding to death. You know, you're just slopping on Vaseline and cream and just praying that the morning it will go away. You're trying to buy some kind of like special underwear to avoid it. I'm like in my van, you know, and I hope it's okay. Keep small children out. Hank, I'm like, you know, put in this Gold Bond powder on my balls and stuff, just begging to not get chafing and be in pain. So one thing is, I want a lot of this to remove pain from you. And then the other thing is that my dad, I don't know if any of you, did any of you have a parent passed? Type in parent in the, my wife says, oh my God. Well, come on, babe. You know, I'm going to like tell it as it is. Hey, Keith, Deb, what's happening? My dad had passed, you know, whatever, about a month ago. And he was a guy that just kept giving and giving and giving, even to the point where sometimes he probably should have stopped giving and needed to focus on himself, but he still was giving. So that also motivated me and said, you know what, if I'm going to do this training and I'm going to give you value, value that I did not wake up and think about. It's not like enlightenment. It's called like well over, it's like probably well over 3.5 million or more now in education. Like, so it's not like, I'd love to tell you that I was the golden child awakened and all of a sudden it all happened and, you know, my parents fed me with a silver spoon in this. It's not that. It's investing a whole lot of time and energy and money to gain the knowledge. So part of this today was to acknowledge my dad. And also I thought, well, what the heck? People could maybe contribute to a charity, and a lot of you have, so thank you, all of you did. We're going to take every dollar that we got from you guys and we're going to split it to 3 great charities: Make-A-Wish Foundation, St. Jude's, and Wounded Warriors. So those of you that did contribute, you're making a difference to people who just can't, you know, they maybe can't make a difference. And maybe the mountain is too big for them. And those of you that still would like to contribute, or maybe at the end, if you think it's worth another $10, we'll put a link in there and you can donate. Like I said, 100% is going to go to it. And a matter of fact, we'll put money in the donation ourselves because I believe in supporting those people. So the question I want to know is, you were intrigued to come here. First off, where are you in the world? What do you do? And what made you want to come and hang out with this Synergized Exit? So take a minute, type in the chat bar. Like, where are you from? What state? What do you do today? Are you a business owner of some kind of special business? And what motivated you to come here? Like, what are you hoping to find that I'm going to share? And I'll make sure I get to that. The 2 hours is, we're going to go 2 hours solid. We will end really close to 5 on the dot, but so don't go away. Don't go away. New York real estate. Oh, awesome. Yep. I got one more piece of big real estate to sell. My gold medal building, which is like 5 million. So, man, we keep getting up to keep getting right there. Just not quite over. Hey, Madison, what's happening? Of course, I know what you do. Mary, hey, nice to see you. Travel agent, part-time. Yes. All right. So you guys could see everybody in here. The next thing is, like, how many of you, hey, Stephanie, nice to see you. Steve, how many of you have the dream of exiting a company or a dream of having legacy style wealth? Why don't you type in dream in the chat bar? Wow, we got people from all over the world here. Hey, Anthony from Bermuda. Okay, so we got a lot of dreams here. And so I want to help you through what I experienced. And I was saying this the other night, like, I don't like when people say, you know, if I could rewind time, I would change nothing. Just so you guys know, if I could rewind time, I would change a whole lot of stuff. I would change a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to dig in. My team is really amazing in the chat bar. So team, one of you that are going to do the typing, make sure, because I got a lot of you on here. Team, why don't you just put your name and team and write down what you do so everybody knows who you are on here. And then team, why don't one of you decide, hey, Lenita, who's going to be the writer? So you're not all, because I'm going to go really, really fast here. And second part of the team, why don't one of you like capture things that we're probably going to use? I'm sure I'm going to say a whole bunch of really cool quotes or something. So why don't you capture those type things, and the rest of the team figure out what you're going to do with whatever. All right, because I'm going to go really quick, and I'm going to do it in a way of not only what did I do, but maybe an action item for you that you might consider doing here. This is a great time for this because 2024 is really going to be great for everyone who is strategic and smart and really working to level up their human intelligence, right? HI, human intelligence. And the people that really don't know how to navigate the new world, it's going to be really, really shitty next year. So there is going to be a complete homeostasis of balance of amazing and crap that's going to happen. And I think most of you, hey, Jim Clark, nice to see you. Most of you have been in my world. So there's a good chance that there's going to be a fair amount of cursing. So Mary and some of you, like if cursing bothers you, you just pray a little extra for me tonight. I'm going to be perfectly fine. But when I get really ramped up and really excited, then I think my dad's language comes out extra through my mouth. So we're just going to be as real and raw as possible here. So first thing that I had to, thinking back on time, and just so you know, this is not some canned presentation. It's not something that I built to tell you something and then you can't ever figure out shit. It's my pet peeve of these gurus today, telling you like all this stuff they're doing and they never really tell you what they're really doing. Just like, look at me. It's not that. Like, I'm going to tell you, I thought about this. The first thing I thought about with a new language today than when I was scaling a company was probably the concept of North Star, right? And, you know, for you, the North Star is probably the magic land. It's this fantasy land you want to get to. And what I didn't realize was I was setting in the beginning years of wanting to build this thing, I was setting a North Star that was so far, it felt unattainable, but I was trying to convince myself it was believable. Do you understand that? Like it really, I felt like it was attainable, but not believable. So I was in constant conflict, what I told people versus what was happening. I was telling them this big thing was going to happen, but it really wasn't going to happen. And do me a favor, everyone that's on here, as you're hearing things from me, can you type it in the chat bar? Because that's the only way I'm going to know that it's resonating and it's impacting. And if you get something that's like shattering, changing, shifting inside your belief system, your mind, then give me some big booms in the chat bar. So one, you want to define this North Star. And when I define the North Star, I have a couple parts of this. Like part one, what is possible? Like what is really possible? I just came back from Maine this morning. Just so you know, I wanted to be here to do this, and Maine is like 7 hours away from here. So I drove last night half of the way, my son and I. So I drove like till 11:30 or 12, then got up and drove the rest of the way. But when I was sitting there, the hotels make it sound like they're going to feed you really good. But like I was telling my son, they have these little omelets with some kind of fake kind of cheese product in it. But since you're hungry, I eat the whatever that cheese product is. And on the TV, they're talking about how we went to the moon in 1972. I'm curious how you feel about this. Like 1972 was the last time we went to the moon, and then we never went again. And they said, well, it's been because of cost, but we've been everyone else. Just type in like weird if that just doesn't add up. Like, does that just not add up for you? It doesn't add up for me. But the point that does add up is what is possible, right? What is possible? The next thing is, why is it possible? Now, I wish somebody gave me this framework because I didn't have it, but going back in my mind, I was like, I was thinking, what is possible and why is it possible? And when I said why it is possible is just came up because I'm relentless. I just don't stop. And even though my mom doesn't understand that, I love not stopping. I don't complain about what I do. There's a difference between complaining that you're doing things and doing it because you just really, really love doing it. I'm here because I really, really love helping people and serving people. The next thing is, when is it possible? When is it possible? Now, we have a thing called right time order. And right time order says, even when I feel when is it possible, I have to make sure it's right time order for it. So if I say I want to build something to 20, 40, 50 million on an exit, right? But like, I can't even hire someone today. And I'll talk about recruiting and some complexities of what I thought about back then through my experience share, is that, it just doesn't add up. Like, what's possible doesn't add to what's probable. Do you get that? Type and get it in the chat bar. Like, it just doesn't add up. Like, if you're struggling to get people, you're sure the hell not going to get to that North Star. The next thing, once I got through this, I had to say to myself, well, if I know what's possible and I know why it's possible and I know when it's possible, I got to reverse engineer it. I got to reverse engineer the possibility. But since you really don't believe it, but you tell everybody you believe it, it's hard to reverse engineer what you don't know and don't believe fully, because you don't have the skill sets. Because the reality is, if you had the skill sets to reverse engineer, you'd be well on your way to that accomplishment. Reverse engineering means I have to look in the future, see a castle, and then from seeing the castle, I have to pull it back and I have to go, okay, well, now I see the castle. And then the last part of the castle that was put on is the emblem on top. And then the next part, the next last to last part was maybe the roofing material, and the next last to last part, right? So I have to like go back and I have to all the way back to the beginning and go, the first part is, where does the castle go, right? Where does the castle go? What's going to hold the castle up? So if you don't not good at reverse engineering, you'll know, because you're always chasing multiple things, but never feel like you're getting momentum. If that's possible, that's been you, can you just write impossible if that's been you? Like, you're constantly chasing but never getting. It's because you don't know how to reverse engineer and then run the play. And then what happens is one thing falls in the way and it knocks you completely off balance. And then all of a sudden the castle, the vision of it disappears in your mind. So we have to be able to write that down. You have to be able to reverse engineer. And if you can't reverse engineer, you have to hire someone that can help you. You got to partner with someone that can, like, you need someone to do it, because I don't want to say time is short, because time's a creation. Conscious time is infinite. Your regulation of time today, it might feel short because you're here and you're like, I got kids and dogs and things to do. So reverse engineer. Now, I'll replay team. You don't have to always rewrite it, but these are the action steps. Like, what is possible? Why is it possible? When is it possible? Reverse engineer it. The next thing is competitive analysis. Who the fuck's in my way? And the theory is like, who's playing in my sandbox? Do you got that? Like, I got to know who's playing in my box. And then how big? Like, I don't know, when you were little, maybe you played on the beach, and then like maybe it was you and your friend, but then there was another group of kids. There's like 12 kids. So 12 kids took up a lot more of the beach than me and my cousin. And so they were playing a bigger role in the sandbox, which is okay if you know and you did the analysis of who's there, who's actually there. What are they there for? What do they do? How are they similar? How are they different? So you got to have that competitive analysis. The other thing is market share. So market share is they play in the sandbox, but how many people do they serve with the sand, right? How many people are they serving versus how many people do I serve? So market share is a momentum, okay? And sometimes it used to be time. So someone would say, I gained market share because I've been in business 50 years. That was really hard work. For any of you that have been in business over 50 years, congrats, that was hard. Today, you could do what people took 50 years to do in like 12 months, you can do it, right? Because back then you had, newspaper, and then maybe eventually they had TV, but not like today. Like, how many people can you impact so fast? So there's market share. You have to understand this. And then the next part is there's movement. Like, are you building something to, like, is it a job, or is it an impact? Is it a transformation? And I'm just going to share with you, like, the sooner it becomes a movement where it's, you want it to impact people more than it even impacts you, it will always come back 100-fold. Like, I knew I had 200 employees in 2017. I knew if I focused on impacting them, that it would always come back. And now I look at the impact I've made on it. Like, a lot of them are in their own business. A lot of them are wealthy. Like, a lot of them are just, their lives are just incredible, right? And I'd like to think when they worked with me, not for me, it was incredible too. So that's just the section of North Star. So why don't you just type in one part of that you know that you either got to learn more, or you got to do different, or you got to do better. So take 1 second and put that in there in the chat bar. Hey, Justin Bakken, what's up, brother? Nice to see you. Kathy Halen, what's happening, Jim Pierce? Hey, Chris, nice to see you again. So type in the chat bar, what's one thing that is already like, yeah, who's in my way, right? What is possible? What do I know and believe? All three: competitive analysis, transformation. All right, let's go next. And we got to move fast, guys, because I probably have 4 hours of stuff to talk about. You know, I roll in this 2-hour period, and we're already 24 minutes in, right? So I'm just going to keep giving it to you here. Next thing is leadership. So as I looked back in time, I had to really understand what leadership was, which was, why do team matter, right? And then how do I trust the team? And is there conflict between team and trust? How many of you have some conflict between team and trust? Type it in the chat bar. Is there conflict? Like, you trust them sometimes, not all the time, but nearly you don't even trust yourself, right? Maybe you don't even trust yourself enough. And like, if you can't trust the team, it's going to be very hard to scale and get to the point you want to get to, because like, to do it alone is really, really difficult. Not impossible, but really difficult to do it. And then the other thing is, the team has to know that there's going to be a bigger purpose and a bigger win. It's the combination of both. If it's a bigger purpose and not a bigger personal win, that's probably called a charity, right? They're doing it out of the kindness of their heart, but the rest of their life's taken care of. If they're doing it because it's a big win and a big passion, now you have this part where you have this momentum that happens for team. They're not playing the game. They are engaged. They are involved in the game. Like, they are committed to the game. There's a difference between playing the game and committed to the game. If you want to know what that looks like your kids being forced to play something, during gym class. Like, they have to play the game, but they're not committed to the game. And so on the leadership side, you want people that are committed to the game, right? You also want that leadership to make sure that they know what the greatest future looks like. Like, I have a really good track record of bringing people to a greater future than they possibly were ever shooting for in the beginning, right? Like, I've had people that worked for me, and then they became managers, then they became directors, then they became, a lot of you know Mike Disney, been in my world a long time, a thoroughbred. He became an owner, right? So I have a track record of helping people that believe in the passion and believe in the greatest future and getting them to the greatest future that they could ever even imagine possible for them. And it happens in our world a lot because, like, especially with our team that we have today, like, the chances of our team, if they weren't in our world, of, being on a Zoom with just the team with like Kevin Harrington or Jay Abraham or any, it's like slim and none, right? And throughout my years, people doing, like shaking hands with Lou Ferrigno or Brian Tracy, like that's not a common thing. Might be wave on stage, but like in a small, intimate group, right? The other thing is, you want to understand why people will buy a company. It's not all about the people, but it's also about the people. It's about the people. And because it's easier to someone to purchase a company if they have an amazing team that's committed to the company, right? So you want to make sure that the people are not confused, right? People should not be confused, especially if you're going to sell your company someday. You should let them know you're going to sell it someday and what that means for them. Some of my team knew it and some didn't, but I didn't know what I know now today. I would have aligned them all to know what it did, because everybody, when I sold my service company, every one of those people make so much more money today than they would have ever made under me. Why? Bigger, huge companies, bigger money. Like, their life is so much better. And I really worked hard to make their life amazing, but it's so much better today when they're purchased, right? When they're purchased. So you want to understand that for your team, and you want to be able to communicate it. But people are important. People are important. And most people can't even attract, like, just so you know, recruiting, and I said this the other day to someone, recruiting is the function of one thing, okay? It's the attraction of a person to a company run by a person that they trust will help them get to a further destination in their life. So when you have a company and you want to create a synergized exit someday, like, you got to understand, people are coming to companies because they trust the people. People don't quit companies, they quit people. If you get that, type in "get it" in the chat bar. You get that people don't quit companies, they quit people. And you don't recruit, you show power and trust, and they decide to come to you because they trust you and they see you as a sense of power. I can't say I'll ever go back in the service company again, Jim. Like, I don't think that. I learned to say never, but if I did, I could just tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I won't have a problem getting people, because, and write this down, because I'm going to show up. for them. And like, if you really rated yourself right now and you were honest, not trying to like showboat for somebody on here, and 10 was like, you really show up for your people, and people like that you show up, and that's who they want to work. They want to work for a company where leadership, management, team shows up. And one being like, all you do is bitch, moan, and complain. Where do you rate yourself now? Now, if you rate yourself a 10, you have a waiting list of people to work for you. Just so you know, if you're a 10, you got a waiting list. Okay. We had a waiting list at Gold Medal, waiting list for people to work for us, whole database of people. Why? Because we were a 10. Now, the other thing is, and some of you are really great here, 8s, 9s. If you're an 8 or 9, just so you know, your company at an 8 or 9 on the ability to attract powerful and stronger people because you're becoming powerful, your company is scaling 30 to 50% easily per year, because scaling is a people position. Okay. Scaling is a people position, just so you know, because people help it scale. If that makes sense, can you type in makes sense in the chat bar? Okay. Now, give me something else that just popped for you now that you're like, if I fix that, it's going to move me forward. Or if I understand that more, some of these things you might have to research more, right? I'm giving you a broad stroke, but a solid stroke here of stuff that I've never heard anybody give, and I still got a lot to do here. Make sense? Show up for them. Yep. Like how you show up. Like I watched people, companies, because you got to imagine, right? I coached over 1,000 of them, and I had over 20,000 service people following us at CEO Warrior. And I used to watch owners tell their team to dress in uniform, and then the owner would come in all disheveled in jeans and a t-shirt. Like, you realize whatever you want them to do, you got to do it or do it better, right? Because you're setting the stage on how they look and how they feel, right? All right, let's keep going here. Human behavior. Human behavior is really important in exiting, because you have to understand how people think and how they're changing. Now, there's a lot of different types of people. Like, you have to understand how your team thinks and how they're changing, how your clients think, how they're changing. And you have to think how people are changing today and how this applies to you 3 years from now. I would say a lot of you are 36 months away from an exit or a next win or something like that. Some of you have exited, some of you will exit in a few, but you're probably 36 months away, which means you have to be asking yourself, how does everybody feel 36 months from now? And then how do they think? How do they feel? What do they do? And then you have to put in systems and mechanisms and stuff to help them think the way that's going to fit your end outcome. People want to know sometimes the secret sauce here. And it is the secret sauce. And you guys can challenge me if it's not, because a lot of you have been in my world for many different ways on many different places and stuff. When it comes to human behavior, what I learned was that in order to improve anybody's business, I had to improve them first. If that makes sense, can you type in makes sense or boom in the chat bar? Like, I had to do them first. But people, when I say people, please just put people/Mike, me too, because I did this too. What I didn't understand was that I kept investing in business skills, but I wasn't investing in personal growth for people. So guess what happened? I tried to stack really valuable knowledge on top of a crappy computer. right? So I tried to take like whatever the updated software is for MacBook Pro, I tried to jam it in a Commodore 64 computer. It doesn't work that way. And then people want to know why their team is not scaling and evolving and fixing. It's because you're not fixing the processing system. So my team challenged me a long time ago. There was a guy working for me back then. He was a general manager at Helmy, and he said, you know, he made a comment one day. He said, leave the best alone. They're already the best. They can't become better. And I was like, really? They can't become better? I said, that's a really interesting concept. They can't become better. So I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make them better in 1 hour, 1 hour a week. Okay, just 1 hour a week. I'm going to make, it was 12 or 13 of them. I'm going to make them better than they are now. And I called it the $1 million club. $1 million club. So I was going to take, some of you are in the industry, I was going to take a plumber, an electrician who only does service, doesn't sell like furnace replacements and big jobs, only service. And I'm going to make them $1 million people, which they were not, which they were 700, which was good, 750. But I was going to show them how to stack another 250,000 a year on this 1 hour. And so we kind of had this little bet, non-bet thing that I could do it. And so after the first one, first meeting, all their sales started to go up. Long story short, they became $1 million service experts. And actually, one of them the other day sent me a message, because I still get messages from old employees and stuff. And here's what he said. He said, 10 business days before Christmas, leads 157K for the month is what he's doing. And his conversion for service is 93%. I don't know anybody that knows. I think any business you're in, is 93 good? Type in good in the chat bar. And he said, Mike, that's plumbing service, not HVAC or comfort advisor, basic plumbing service. Thank you for showing me the way it can be. It's all in your mind, and what you attract, like attracts like. So this guy's doing over $1 million a year in service, 93% conversion. And then he said it. And what he said was exactly what I did. Call it human behavior, call it human improvement, call it human intelligence. I evolved everyone's human intelligence, and everything else in the company followed with it. Most people don't invest in their people to scale at that way. If you did, you would probably have people on this right now, right? The other thing about human behavior is, how does it apply to your family, right? Because if you're scaling one way and your family is thinking another way, you'll have a tug of war. And then what happens with the tug of war? You guys tell me in the chat bar. What happens with the tug of war? Something's going to pop, right? That's when you're going to have divorce and separation, and you're not going to see eye to eye. And it's because 20 years of you did things without aligning things, right? Without alignment of things. So put a check mark down here that in order to get to this synergized exit, human behavior and understanding the ins, the outs of yourself first, your team second, is going to be really, really important. Okay. Are we tracking? Tell me if we're tracking here. For some of you, this might be too fast, too furious. For some of you, welcome to your future legacy exit. The next thing is, you definitely want to create a community out of your list. What does that mean? So everybody in business has probably a list of customers or clients, and you treat them as clients, but you're not treating them as a community. And you're serving them when they raise their hand, but you're not serving them when they're not. And you want to make sure you're serving them even when they're not raising your hand, because your job is to help remove someone else's pain, whatever it is, right? Whatever their pain is, they don't know how to do their financial numbers, or they have something in their house that's broken, or they have some kind of IT situation. Like, they have a problem and your job's to remove pain, but most people are just asking for something without serving with something. And if you could look at everybody in your world that's giving you money as a community, that's going to be very valuable, because people don't want to buy customers. And you want to write this one down. A company doesn't want to buy a customer. They want to buy a connection. A customer has a monetary, a lower term monetary value. A connection has a long-term monetary value to it. So they want to know that these people are connected to this brand. Like, it's like an Apple person that's Apple. Like, man, they could just come out and be like, we got a phone. Like, this is a phone. And all of a sudden they're just like, I'm all in. People will be waiting for that thing. They'll buy it. Why? You don't realize, you probably think they want the cool widget. It's not the cool widget they want. It's the connection. Look at me. I have the cool phone. You have the cool phone. We're connected. We're universally connected to this product. So when you're talking about community, you want to make sure you are building a strengthened community. So let's do a rating here. How about 10? Everyone in your email list, your database, they paid you for something. 10 is, it's such a community. You're the first one they think about when they need anything in life. And 1 being like, they don't even know who you are until you come and say, do you need something, or they need something. So put a number in the chat bar, everyone. 7, 6, 7.5. I love the 0.5. 7. Okay, so you should be writing a note right now. I would think as you're going through what I'm saying, you're like, oh, build a community out of my list, right? And then you're going back and you're like, oh, I better make sure my people have personal growth, right? And then you go back and you're like, oh, I wonder, how do I empower more trust in my leadership? So tell me, if you were to guess, just so I know where I'm at, if you've been listening, like, not how many notes you have, but roughly how many actions do you already feel you have written down that you could execute on? You might need a little more information on it. I get that. But like, give me a rough estimate of how many actions you have to this point. This will tell me how fast you move. And 3, 5, 7, 6. Okay, perfect. Next thing. Jay Abraham taught me this. So what is the most important thing, Joey, in a company? All of you guys type in, like, if there's one thing that's really important indicator of a company, what is it? Mike, type it in. Culture? Nope. Culture? Nope. Personal growth? Nope. There's one key thing, especially when we're talking about a synergized exit. People, humans. Mike got it. Good job, Mike. EBITDA. EBITDA is the most important thing of a company. It tells you not the life force, it tells you the proposed value today. It's the asset value. And this was one of the things Jay Abraham was teaching me, since I did pay him for one-on-one coaching for 3.5 years, which for most people probably wouldn't help at all, because you have to, like, it's like reading the Lost Sea Scrolls. Like working with Jay, you have to be able to really dissect language and words, and he doesn't have a lot of patience. He's not like hand holding you, like it's intense. But the thing I took away was EBITDA matters. Now, EBITDA is a measurement, right? It is a profitability. And then the second most important thing for an exit for you is what? What's the second most important thing? EBITDA is one. What's the second thing if for a synergized exit? System. No, but thank you for guessing, right? I'd rather you guess. People, no. Okay. It's multiple. Multiple. So I have to have an EBITDA and I have to have a multiple. And if you don't know what that is, okay, let's say EBITDA number, the profit at the end of the year, let's just give it a simple thing. It's $1 million, which would be really good. Okay, it's good. And I had 1 million. If you went back 10 years ago, probably roughly, the multiple was, let's use a service company for you guys. It was about a 3 to a 5. That means your company with 1 million of this EBITDA value was worth maybe 5 million. Now, I'm going to talk about some people. Now, I'm not going to mention the people, but I'm going to talk about how a lot of people became wealthy and some got nothing. Now, the multiple went up to 18. That means the same $1 million EBITDA was $18 million versus 5 million. Do you understand why these two numbers are important? They're not always sitting at the same space and time either, right? EBITDA is the ability controlled by you, the leader. If your EBITDA sucks, the leader sucks. Let's just be clear on that. And if the EBITDA sucks, it's either the ownership, the board sucks. There's no other way to put it. They're in charge. They can try blaming it on all the other people, but it's not. It's the top line that's doing it. The multiple is a timing changing. It's a changing during times of cycles, just so you know. This is very important because if you don't understand EBITDA and you don't understand cycles and you think you're going to exit someday, you just have a pipe dream without any education behind it. It's the North Star fantasy. That's why I started with that North Star. If that makes sense, can you type in make sense? All of this, just so you know, it's all based on your software system and your identity. You have to have this identity. How many of you are already registered for Change the Channel? I'm just curious. Type it in. If you don't know what Change the Channel is, put a question mark. I'll cry real quick and then I'll mention it. Me. And okay, Joey doesn't know what it is. Okay. All right, most of you. All right, let me just share this real quick. And I want to share something else. I want to tell you who today is sponsored by also. Just so you know, we did have a sponsor for today. And our sponsor, how many of you know Dan Cashel? Type in Dan. Some of you were invited to a special behind closed doors session with Dan last night where I did some, who was on last night, and tell me how last night was. If you were on last night, it was a closed door invitation and Dan had me come and speak. But so he's our sponsor today, just so you know, from Breakthrough 3X. He is our fractional CMO, which is Chief Marketing Officer. So if any of you are looking for someone who just knocks, the digital space out of the park, of someone who's wise, sold big companies, multiple companies, here's how you could get in touch with them. You just reach out to us, team, put it in the chat bar, advantageprogram@fooddoggroup.com. we'll make a one-on-one personal connection for you if you're looking for someone like him. But for Joey, here's Change the Channel. It's 3 days coming up in January 26th to 28th. And it's 3 full days and it's virtual. So it's easy for you guys to attend. I think it's crazy if you don't put leaders through it, because the whole thing about this is what I'm going to be heading into now is about identity. If you already had the identity of someone that could scale to 10 million, I got news for you. You'd be at $10 million. Okay. If you had the identity to scale to 50 million, you'd be at $50 million. This event here is really incredible because a couple things. Justin mentioned it. One, I'll be speaking. My incredible wife will be speaking. Michael, my son, will be speaking. Aaron will be speaking. Jay Abraham is coming on. That's really awesome. Mike Michalowicz is coming on. If you know Mike Michalowicz, type in Mike. He's brilliant. Just confirmed his time. It's in my email to respond again. And then Kevin Harrington. So it's going to be virtual. So if any of you are not exactly where you want to be, I will tell you, your identity has to shift and your people's identity. So you say, Mike, how did you exit the first company? Identity. The other thing is, I knew to teach people how to exit someday. I was teaching people how to sell companies, but I never sold a company. So that never felt really good. So I had to sell to prove I could sell at a really big win. And most people that sold, you tell me in 2017 or before, was there a lot of companies that sold and you signed your name and walked away the next day? Tell me in the chat bar. Like, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any one service company from 2017 and before that ever sold their company, signed their name, the next day they were out the door. Never. But what about today? Ever since I sold, we've had over 50 companies exit, 50 in 36 months, right? I think the number's like something like 85, 90% of them became Deca millionaires. And every one of them that wanted to walk away signed their name and walked away. But that was the 6 minute mile, right? Or 7 minute mile. Like nobody did it back then. So the question is not about me. It's not about all of them. It's about you. What changed for them? Identity. Type it in the chat bar, everybody. Identity. When you start thinking from just being an owner operator to being a wealth investor, wealth advisor, the thinking of a company versus part of your portfolio, everything changes like this. Now, your identity can only change at the rate of speed of the identity of others around you. Write it down. Your identity can only change at the rate of speed of the identity change of those around you. Why? Because if you're changing and your husband's not, tell me in the chat bar, how's it work? You're telling me you're changing 100%? No. That's called separation. If you're changing and the other one's not, you're going to have separation. It's the way it is, because you're going to think and evolve and look at things through a different set of lenses than someone else. I mean, you know, coaching 1,000 companies, like, and majority of them were like, you know, 85% of them male. Like, I understood this. I understood what was happening pretty well. All right. So that's why I wanted to tell you what Jay Abraham taught me. Next thing, subscriptions and membership. Subscription and membership. It's not a want, it's a need. It's a need. The future synergized exits will be based off of subscription and membership models. We're going to go to a subscription and membership model world. You're going to own no house, no car. You're just going to go, I got $5,000 a month. And it's going to be like going to the grocery store. They're going to go, oh, okay, so you want a fridge like this and you want to drive this type of car and you want, oh, for those of you not signed up, oh, thank you, Ken. It looks like there's still 50% off tickets there. So buy one for your team or something. It's super affordable. And you'll go, this is the car I want to drive. This is the food I want in the fridge. We'll become a membership and subscription society. So why does it create such value? Great question, Mike. It creates value because it's committed longevity. I'm committed. You guys realize you like pay for a Costco membership to go in there to just buy their stuff, right? And most of it, you're not saving anything. I mean, how many of you would agree that if you don't know what you're doing in Costco, it is an illusion that you're saving by buying bulk? Tell me in the chat bar. It's an illusion, right? It's an illusion. Just look at the numbers and you're like, what the fuck? I could have got it there for that. Some of it maybe, but it's not. So it shows a sense of connection and commitment. I'm committed to you because we're in this membership or subscription model together, right? Amazon, right? You pay for Prime. I think everyone's Prime. I just think everyone doesn't pay for it today, right? You're paying for something to make you feel that that's my place. I'm part of this. It adds a huge amount to your exit, just so you know. Because if you have a membership or a subscription, it's a recurring revenue model. There's recurring to it. Everybody tries to make it so big, right? Like it has to be $1,000 a month type thing. It doesn't. It just has to be a thing, right? Look at ChatGPT, right? You could be in the free one. I'm still not sure the $20 a month one's that much better, but I pay the $20 a month. Both of them could be looked at as a subscription or membership. One's free and one's paid, but you're still committed to it. The paid one is a recurring revenue per month, so that holds a higher value. So just so you guys know, if you want to have a higher level synergized exit, boom. You want to have a subscription or membership model built into your company. I've yet to find a company that cannot get one built into it too, just so you know. All right, next thing, exit. Vendors are not people you beat down for lower prices. Vendors are partners. They're a community. And most people are trying to beat up their vendors for products. Give it to me cheaper. Give it to me for less. Right? That's not a partnership. That's called abuse. So if you want to win, you've got to make sure those around you are winning. That was always important to me, no matter who I was dealing with back then. It could have been WB Mason or Lennox or Ferguson, or didn't matter who I was buying from. I never treated them as a transaction. I treated them as a partner. Even today, the people we work with, we treat them as partners. If that makes sense, give me a boom in the chat bar. Because when you go to exit someday, they say, who do you work with? And I always say this: do you want to know who I work with or how I work with them? You see the difference? They go, well, how do you work with them? I said, well, they're like partners of mine. I know what they need to do, what they need to accomplish, and they know what I need to accomplish. I would tell, Lennox or anybody I was working with, I'm going for, I sold at 32 plus million. We were tracking for 40, but I sold at 32. I'm like, we're going for 28 million this year. Okay, I got it. What do you need to do? Sales guy's like, I need to sell 5 million in equipment. I'm like, I got it. We're together in this game. We're going to get this together. Right? supplier great business, basically 30 to 50% of a business revenue with no equity. Yep. All right. So vendors, partners, and they're part of the community. They're part of the community, right? We had a bunch of our people that work with us that would be partners, like our fractional CFO, CMO, CSO. We invited them to our holiday party. Why? They're part of the community. I know what they need. They know what I need. How many of you need to do just a little bit better at that? Type in better in the chat bar. How many of you just need to do a little bit better at that? Okay. Yeah. Great. So I hope that's helpful. All right, let's go to the next one. So someone did say culture before. I don't think culture is the thing. I think it's a thing. And I think most people that wrote culture books have no idea what the hell culture is. When people think of culture and you're going to exit a company, and since I look at a lot of companies, we partner with companies, I've sold multiple companies. So I've been to the plate quite a few times, what they say to the table, right? On both sides, partnering with someone, selling to someone. And they ask you, they say, this PE firm said to me, they said, tell me about your culture. So guess what I said to them? Hank, I said, which one? And they looked at me cross-eyed, like, what do you mean? I said, well, which culture? There's a lot of cultures. They said, your team. I said, oh, just the one? Okay, would you like me to share the other cultures? So they go, yeah. I said, well, okay, well, let me tell you the cultures in the order of a lot of importance. First, there's a family culture. It's my family, my team's family. And you're probably asking yourself, why is it a culture? Because if my team's family is broken, they're broken in the company, which breaks now the team culture. And they're just looking at me like, where'd this guy fucking come from? Never heard anything like it. And I said, well, what about our clients? Our clients is a culture. If the family culture is broken, our team culture is broken, our clients' culture is going to be broken. And then culture of clients is not one by one people, it's a bunch of people. It's a community. So they go, okay, is there another culture? I said, of course there is. There's our vendor partners culture. Because if they're not part of the culture, they won't understand what my team needs, my client needs, and what their families need. They go, holy mackerel, is there another culture? I said, there's the community culture. If we drive around and we're spitting on people and throwing cigarettes out the window, we're affecting the community culture, which guess what? The community culture will affect the client's culture, it'll affect the vendor culture, it'll affect the team culture, it affects everybody's family culture. Now, that's what culture really understanding is about. And I've yet to meet anybody that really understands it. Now, each one of them overlaps and circles over each other. So there is a cross-pollination that happens in the dynamics of all the different cultures. Now, when you nail the different cultures, now you have like this, whatever they call it, like a super cycle storm. They all just like superpower because everybody understands everybody. Everybody's connected to everybody. You know, client told me one time, why can't you just send the guy out at 5 in the morning? I said, because 5 in the morning is not good for his family. And, well, it's good for mine. Well, it's not good for my employee's family. And if my employee's family is broken, my guy's going to be broken. Do you want my guy broken? No. Okay, he could be there at 7. Perfect. Because you don't want a broken guy, do you? Because if his family's broken, he's going to be mentally broken when he comes inside my culture. That is human behavior. That's personal growth empowerment. Do you see how if you change and you think that way and empower them? Now, why did we worked with the people, our team, we invited their families to come in and learn. And when we got them to expand their thinking and their family to expand their thinking, then they never ever leave. They stay with you forever, right? They stay with you forever because you're showing how much you care about them. It's like if someone on our team gets sick, like They send all kinds of, they send them oranges and soups and fucking teas and, right? Because I need them taken care of. I need to make sure that they're good, right? I need to make sure their family is good. Is this working for you? All right, tell me what you just took away from that and tell me if I should keep going if you're getting value. For some of you, you might be rolling over right now. It could be a lot. For some of you, it's key reminders you're going to put in place because you're going to exit better than ever you could, because there's no one else out there that's sharing these dynamics. Otherwise, I'd tell you go to them. I just don't know anybody. Multiple cultures, yeah. Different cultures, extends far beyond just personal. Yes, 100%. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. This one, been saying it for many years. I wish I knew who first said it. Raise the ceiling or lower the floor. Just so you know, when you're looking at EBITDA, raise the ceiling means make a whole lot more. Lower the floor means reduce a lot more cost. Someone was saying that for probably a decade. And then I said, why don't we do both? Why don't we raise the ceiling and lower the floor? But you can't raise the ceiling too high because you'll burn out clients, right? There's a lot of companies out there that have scaled big, but they got to keep moving through. They got to move through geographic areas because they burn out the area. They go in a house with a sledgehammer. I don't believe in that. You know, high pressure, very bad integrity. If you lower the floor on cost too much, you get rid of important things and you're sacrificing quality now, right? You're selling garbage instead of quality, and you're trying to sell garbage at a high price point. That's not going to work out really, really good. So it is a balance in the middle between, raise the ceiling, lower the floor, manage the value, the value proposition there, right? That's going to be really important. Never lose focus of that. That was another thing when we were exiting some companies. They said, well, why didn't you stop doing that? Right? And man, like at a service company with men, they can drink a lot of coffee, like a lot. And we didn't buy the shitty coffee. We had really good coffee. And I said, well, why didn't you ever, they asked questions like, why didn't you ever get rid of that? I said, well, because they really love that. And if they're happy when they drink their coffee, they're happy when they get to the client's house, and then they're happy with the client, right? So they looked at it as just the monetary cost of it. And I looked at it as the effects of the cost. What did it give me on the other side of it, right? The other thing is, I think what a lot of people don't do, and I don't know who first said this. It might've been a friend of mine, Jim Hamilton, really brilliant guy. I think he used the first one I heard. He said, cut the fat, keep the muscle. Cut the fat, keep the muscle. What that means is you have a lot of people that are not evolving. They're not evolving mentally in their human intelligence, right? They're not evolving there. And they're not changing their patterns or habits or behaviors. They're still functioning the same way they did 10 years ago. And people would tell me, when I would go, I used to do a lot of like different on-sites on companies, go see companies. They said, oh, so-and-so been here for 20 years. And I used to turn around and Brendan, I would go, I can tell. And they would go, why? I said, well, fucking newspaper, coffee. I said, this guy, he sucked for 10 years of the 20. I could just tell you right now. This guy comes in 5 minutes, he makes his coffee, sits down. He's got to make sure it takes him 10 minutes to make sure his ass sits in the chair right. I'm like, it's okay, but let's not call him a team. Let's call him a charity. I'm okay keeping him. I'm not saying you got to throw him out, but let's put him under the line item charity, because he's not empowering us to the finish line. He's not going to get us there, right? And it's okay as long as you know what you got. So when they say cut the fat, keep the muscle, they're saying, look, he's just not aligned. So is he a fuel or an anchor? And I bet all of you, if you just wanted a simple exercise, and I did this year after year after year of preparing for exiting, I'll talk about how you mentally prepare. You don't, things are either going to fall into a column called fuel or a column called anchor. So if you were to write down something in the chat bar, just for me, what's an anchor that you have right now? It could be a person, a place, a thing, right? A system, a product. What's an anchor you have right now? Could be your mind, your own mind could be an anchor. Your identity could be an anchor. Your relationship could be an anchor. Your health could be an anchor. Like, what's the anchor? Limiting beliefs, lack of call volume. Yeah. It's never lack of a call volume. It's just lack of a strategy, right? Like it's never lack of call volume. It's lack of focus, not going in an area that solves that problem. Anybody else? Okay, let's go to the next thing. Next one was win the day. That, I don't know who first taught me that one either. Very important when exiting a company. Like, you got to win the day. You got to win the day. So Joey, like, winning the day is like this is great. You're getting a lot of information. To win the day, you have to take all the line items and go, what's the one that I can do tomorrow? And I could get traction under it, right? And get started. And if I have multiple team members, then I could go 1, 1, 1. That's a compounding effect. You know, if I only have me, then I just implement one thing. Then you'll look at it and you just got to win the day there. All right, next one. This is a little out of order, this one, but I threw it in. I called it, how many of you have a physical office? Like, you have a team and they go to an office or a space, physical space they show up to. Office. Okay, couple of you. Okay, couple of you. So I always had a thing called the walls speak. And your walls tell a story, and the story creates a behavior, right? So the walls speak. The bathroom door speaks. The wall in the bathroom speaks, right? The wall inside every office speaks. And the question is, what are you saying? What is it saying to everybody? Is it like, I go to these shops that I used to go to. It's like, they're banged up, they're dirty. You know, if you let, let's say you have a company with trucks and you let one get scratched and you don't fix it, you said scratches are acceptable, right? If you have a coffee area in your office and you allow it to get dirty, you said dirty behaviors and actions are acceptable, right? So I always said the walls speak. What people see is what they think. So guess what? Change what they see, change what they think. If that makes sense, give me a makes sense in the chat bar. And you have to do it. Now, it's got to change over time, because some of you, it's 50 years old, the same shit's on the wall. Because their thinking's changing, you have to be changing. Like, I would tell you, we're going through so many changes in 2024. I would imagine, like, you probably need to put some money in what's on the walls for your people. If you want them to think different, you definitely would need to change it this year. Then you'll be good for probably 3 to 4 years. But if you're not changing it, you're probably keeping them stuck inside their own thinking. Okay. This one I listed. Okay, I got a lot more to get through here, so let's keep going. This one I listed on how did all these companies exit? You know, how many? There's over 50 of them now. How did they exit? And I was trying to nail it down to what was the thing. Some of it I said already. One, the people that did exit, they never quit on scaling their thinking, and they never got disconnected. What I mean by that is, like, they were in my world and they stayed very connected in my world. They didn't take a what do they call it? A hiatus or something? They didn't take that. They stayed connected and they stayed hooked in, because every time they unhooked, their mind unhooked. Right? And when their mind unhooked too long, they got unhinged. Sabbatical. Thank you, Michelle. They got unhinged. And when they got unhinged, the course correction was really hard. Because when the owner unhinges, everything else unhinges with it. And now to get to that synergized exit, it's very, very difficult. Very difficult. That's what I learned for myself. And I'm only telling you what I did because I was in groups. Sometimes I disconnect. I'm like, shit. Like, how am I going to get to the finish line if I'm disconnected from the power source? So I had to double down and everything, and I don't get disconnected anymore. I'm engaged. Jen Aaron will tell you, in groups I'm in, I'm always asking questions. I'm serving relentlessly. The other thing is, they were really good students. They looked for truth and they managed fantasy. Okay, they looked for truth and they managed fantasy. Fantasy is this world where they keep in a state of upset of what they don't have. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, I wanted that car, I don't have it yet. I wanted that house, I don't have it yet. So they kept fantasy conflict, right? But the ones that chased the truth for them was, if I stay engaged, I stay committed, I stay focused, I stay aligned, I have clarity, I'm going to have a finish line that most will never experience. And those that did that, they got to the finish line, they exited their companies. Those that didn't, I'll talk about those that didn't make it. That's going to be coming up. Maybe I'll go to there right now. Let me just find it a minute. Oh, here. Let me bring this up. I'll cover this right now. The ones that didn't make it, because sometimes you learn more by those that made the damn mistakes. So here's the people that didn't make it. So there was at least 5 people I know that could have been legacy wealth, and they just messed it all up. All right. So here's a couple things they didn't do. One, they didn't listen to learn. They listened to try to justify. They didn't listen to learn. They listened to try to justify. Oh, I know that. I already they tried to figure it out on their own. It's like, I know that. That was one thing. Number 2, they tried to beat the trend. Like, it was at the peak, and they're like, there's a further peak. It's like trying to time the stock market. So they tried to beat the trend, and not only did they not beat the trend, they lost completely. Right? The other thing was, they didn't think about the next future. So they were so confused that this is the end. And when you exit a company, and I want you all to write this down. When you exit a company, it's not supposed to be the end. It's supposed to be a new beginning. But they kept looking at it at the end. So they made a lot of mistakes, just focusing that it was the end. Like this is the end all. There's nothing else after it. It's like life is over, but they're going to have all this money. So in the end, they made a lot of mistakes because of that. Instead of saying, this is just the transition to a new one. And just so you know, these 5 people, when I say they lost, they didn't get to a sale, and every one of them was positioned for over $10 million in their bank account. And now they're just a slave to it. And because they tried to beat the cycle and didn't listen, got disconnected, didn't take wise advice, the chances of this cycle is normally a 20-year cycle. At least in one industry, it was 20 years. So remember, there's EBITDA and there's multiple, and multiples are in cycles. Okay. little side tip, not written in here, but I'm going to give it to you. There's trackers out there that track multiples. Okay, they track multiples, and when the multiple gets a blip up by a point, that's when you should start focusing, because they don't go up and down. Industry multiples don't go. It's not like what do they call it? It's not like beans and something like a commodity. It's not like commodity. It's not like up today, down tomorrow, up today, down tomorrow. It's not like that. It takes a push to get it to go up a point from 4 to 5. When it starts going up by multiples, multiples, like it goes up to 2 or 3, that means that cycle is going to start to go up. And that's when you have to be ready to get out. I was always 2 years early and right on time, just so you know. And I didn't sell either one of my companies. I expanded outside of the company. There's a big difference there. A lot of you have expanded personally, but you're stuck in the bubble of, kind of call it complacency. So what happens is, instead of expanding to your bigger future, you're being sucked in to complacency. And now it's like, do you ever feel like you're getting pulled further back than where you want to go? Tell me in the chat bar, like what you want just keeps going like farther and farther away year after year. You're like, shouldn't I be getting closer? You're not getting closer because you're so stuck in the routine of what you've been doing for so long. You have fear of doing something new, because what if you experience pain? So instead of having certainty, which you should write that down, because certainty, to exit a company, you got to have certainty in yourself, in your product, in your knowledge. Like, you got to have certainty. If you don't have certainty, that's when you make a lot of mistakes, and you question yourself, and you go up to the table and then you pull away. You're like, I think, but I don't know. And you'll just waste a lot of time there. All right, let's pause there 1 minute now. I threw a bunch more at you. Give me another big action item that you just took, something that's just like changing the paradigm of how you're thinking about this. The goal is for you to save decades here, not make lots of mistakes. Certainty to exit. Yeah. Don't try to beat the trend. Oh, yeah. Look for truth. Manage fantasy. Yeah. Vendors are partners. Great. Not the end, new beginning. Stay connected. Don't get distracted. Yeah. I think I have shiny object coming up. Hire a controller. Yeah. And what I like about controllers, Stephanie, is like we have what's called fractional. Just so you know, fractional, what that is, Stephanie, is fractional is people that work for your company, but they also work for others. So they're not an employee, which is really good, because they really will help get you to the finish line, because they know the numbers. And like, if like Stephanie, I think you said you want 18, 20 something months. Like if you had a fractional CFO, they would be doing that service for you. And I don't know if maybe Carrie, maybe you hook up with Stephanie, there might be an opportunity for you there. But what they do is they help you get your numbers in line. And they say, when you're ready to exit, I'm going to charge you for numbers to do the service, but when you exit, I get a little percentage of the win too. So they're now committed to helping you be so streamlined, because they want you to sell, because they're going to get 2, 3, 5% or whatever it is, right? So that's really important. Okay. And that's what we have. So anybody that does want to know how we run our companies with fractional level, C-level suite people, we can share that with you. All right. Systems and processes are value. Okay. They're value. I didn't realize how much value it was until I was selling and they did a tour of the company. And when they did a tour, the guy said, he was looking at the one thing, and I grabbed the book because I was like showboating some, right? So I was like, oh, did you want to know what this is? And well, this is my plaque in case you don't know, right? Always be yourself, unless you could be a unicorn, then always be a unicorn. So he goes, what's that? I said, oh, that's called the gold medal way. He said, what's the gold medal way? I said, oh, it's our processes and systems book. Every division, every department has the book. And every department knows where everyone else's book is. And so he looked through it and he goes, oh man, that's great. Now they owned, the first company that bought me, they owned they owned Friendly Restaurants and some medical things. And as the guy was walking through, he's like, oh, I'm going to use that in my company, in another company. I'm going to use that in another company. So you know what that taught me? That systems and processes have value more than just keeping a company running. And the other thing about systems and processes is it helps with making sure that the company can run no matter what. So yeah, Kathy, you probably saw the book one time called The Gold Medal Way, but I didn't realize the value of process. So I just gave you a key. When you go to exit someday, they want to know you have this cookbook. And long as the cookbook runs, they're buying the cookbook too. Okay. All right. Next thing, risk mitigation. I wish I thought of this and knew this sooner. Risk mitigation in exiting. The first thing is lawsuits. Lawsuits suck really bad. And they suck really, really bad when you're getting ready to sell a company and you get a lawsuit right before it. Just so you guys know, that sucks real bad. That's like double dog, horrible, horrible situation, horrible situation. So the question is, when you're going is, what are you doing today to avoid lawsuits by risk mitigation? Couple things, IP protection, right? Your IP, which is intellectual property, which is everything that's written and said and how you do things, you need to protect that. That's part of risk mitigation. Someone else can't use it. When I sold Gold Medal, some of you know this, but some of you don't. When I sold Gold Medal, I had amazing processes and systems, and I was teaching all of that to CEO Warrior clients, right? That's why they joined CEO Warrior, because I already had a proven model, proven system. When I sold, I rebuilt every single process and system I used at Gold Medal, because I never wanted Gold Medal, the company that bought it, to come and say, we bought this system and you're using it to make money, and we want money from it. So I rebuilt every single thing possible, which the good part was. The bad part was I had to hire 2 graphic designers full time and like tons of time. It took a ton of time. The good thing was I rebuilt everything better than I even had it at the service company. So people that were in CEO Warrior were moving so much faster than I even moved, because I built it to the most cutting edge. Because even like today, there's so many things that I would be building different today if I was in the service space like that. Brand protection, right? Making sure your brand colors are locked in, whatever your brand is, trademark, copyright. You definitely got to be protected today, and more important than ever, because the AI world is stealing your brand left and right. It's trying to steal your IP, and the only way you'll be able, they're going to come in the future to buy your company, and they're going to say, how are you IP and brand protected? And if you don't have anything, your IP is going to be dog shit, because they're going to say they can reproduce it or steal it from somewhere else, right? From an AI system. And then simple things like risk mitigation on team, like, what could team cause? All of a sudden, this was a situation with somebody, which I thought was horrible. Someone was selling their company, and then one of their top managers held them hostage. So remember when I went back and said you have to have team alignment, Hank? Well, if you don't have team alignment, there's a point when you sell a company, you got to go to your team and say, I'm selling. And imagine you have a kingpin, one key person. That key person goes like this, Hank, oh, you're going to sell? Perfect. I'll tell them everything you want me to tell them, but I want $1 million. You go, you want me to shoot you in the left leg or the right leg? They go, I don't care what leg, because I'll just blow up the deal. Which, guess what? Blew up the deal. So because they had a person of not high integrity and who was going to get a couple $100,000 anyway as a gift, guess what happened? It blew up the deal because of that situation. So that's risk mitigation, right? That's risk mitigation there. Okay. Are we tracking? Type in tracking. Are you going to stay strong for the next 30 minutes or should I stop? What do you want me to do? You going to stay strong? Madison, strong? Kevin? Melanie, we staying strong? All right, we're staying strong. I know some of you are looking a little full, so shake it, Lanita, shake it out a little bit. Let's keep the body moving a little bit here. All right. Next one. Don't be fat too early. People are spending money on shit they don't need for dopamine hits. Like they're buying things they don't need now because they don't want to buy it and wait for ultimate freedom. So they're buying things for a dopamine hit and then it's sitting there. And some people are buying boats they can't afford and they don't even have the time to go on the boat. Probably none of you, right? They're buying motorcycles and fancy cars. And these dopamine hits are, there's a couple types of dopamine, right? There's me trying to prove myself, dopamine. Then there's the dopamine hit of significance. Look at me. Are you looking at me? Oh my God, I feel good when you look at me. So that's that other dopamine hit. It's the significance dopamine. And so I would tell you, and it happens when people start to win in business. When they start to get the business moving, they think that it's always going to move that way, but it doesn't. What I learned is there's dips and cycles. A lot of you know I taught that before, right? There's like 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, right? 7 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 30. These are cycles of dips where systems got to change, technology got to change. But because your company doubled, your bank account's a little bigger, you go, I now could eat different, sleep different, buy different. And it's very dangerous to not wait to get to the point where you can do that without ever having to worry. So, don't get fat too early and really try to control where you have these dopamine, this dopamine nature, The other thing about it with that is the comparison effect. I want you to take anything you see, everybody told me, they said, you can't sell a company and leave the next day. That's what they all told me. But I fought against their belief system. I didn't want to believe their belief system. If you're so engaged with what everyone's saying, you're going to be inside their belief system. That's the only thing that's going to happen for you. I decided that's not my belief system. I'm going to position it in a way that I'm going to be able to sell it and walk away the next day, which I did, right? I had 3 directors in place, no office in the building, process, everything I've been covering with you added up to them going, okay, we don't need you. And I was like, why would you even want us? Because, I was making $500,000 a year. My partner was making $500,000 a year. That wasn't counting our bonuses and the $200,000 a year on the black card and shit. I'm like, you're putting over like 1.4 million right back in the company. So tell me in the chat bar, if you throw 1.4 million you save on expenses, what happens to the profitability and the EBITDA of the company? Through the roof, right? Goes through the roof. So I was like, I already had a great story on why you never need me here ever. You never want me here again. Now they go in, they're like, oh, you want to go away? We don't care. We got people. We'll throw them right in here. So, make sure you're not comparing other people. You're comparing you to the strategy that you believe. To the strategy you believe. All right. Organizational charts and selling. Organizational charts are not a structure. They're actually a creation device. Okay. Organizational charts are a creation device. They create the future. They do manage the day, but they create the future. So just keep that in mind. I learned that at this church that I was doing a big job in one time. And the pastor in the front lobby had a big picture of a building. It was huge. And I was always very curious. So I said to him, you know, why that picture? Why that location? And he said, well, first off, it will only be created if they believe it will be created. So I was like, oh, that's really good. He said, the second thing is, if I don't have the picture out there, the money they put in the basket, he said, will be a dollar or two. He says, when we put that picture out there, it's 5 or 10. So he says, we're going to get there quicker because they know what they're praying towards. I was like, oh, snap. That's really good. That's really good, I said. I mean, they had so much money, cash they were getting. I had to put a special red, they had to hit a button I put in, and it had a red beacon would go on in the room to say, look out the little trap door. That's how much cash was in there. It was piles of cash. More cash than I've ever seen in person, stacked on 6-foot tables. And he gave me a longer talk about it, but it was all about they have to see it to believe it to achieve it, right? That's the whole concept of it. So just so you know, the organizational chart is a creation device for people to see it, to believe it, to achieve it. And it also shows them how their passion in the organization moves them up to where they want to go in the future. You probably should just type boom in the chat bar just to type it. Okay. Next thing, marketing. So selling a company, you can't be marketing illiterate. I think people are marketing illiterate today. I don't think they understand things. They don't understand the thing. And you, for whatever you do the rest of your life, you don't have to do the widget, but you should understand the widget. Like, you don't have to know how to build funnels and strategic copy, but you have to understand the concept of funnels and strategic copy and how it all works together to create mental impressions, creates a sense of emotion in people, all that stuff that it does. So the more that people know that marketing is layered through a company, strategic marketing, not lead generation only. Lead generation changes as human behavior changes. Do you guys understand that? Like, Google was amazing for leads, then it sucked for leads. Facebook, so when you understand marketing, you understand that there's ebbs and flows and shifts and changes. And the more you understand that, the more you're going to get to an exit, right? The more you're going to be able to position yourself, because just like recruiting, even showing them power is a marketing vehicle. Selling is a marketing vehicle. Let's re-answer it again. So who knows what a pitch book is? Type in pitch. If you don't know what it is, put a question mark, because I can't have you miss this part because it's so important. Okay, question, pitch. Okay, all right. So a pitch book is a book that gets put together, and I'm going to go out and sell the company, right? So I give this pitch book to a broker or accountant or CPA or somebody, and they go and they find Tara. All right, Tara, you're going to buy something. Wave, Tara. Okay, so they find Tara, and they go, Tara, I heard you might be interested in buying a cupcake company. Tara's like, yeah, maybe a cupcake company. So they say, here's a book. Look about it. And she starts looking, and it says about the company and how old it is and and how much money it makes and the profitability and the team and the future of this. And then she goes, yeah, I think I want to buy a cupcake company. So here's the problem with it. People, Stephanie, they decide I'm going to sell in 6 months. So now they start to build the pitch book. The pitch book should be built today. Have a pitch book for raising capital. Yeah. Pitch books. Yeah, that's a slightly different pitch book, but a lot of similarities in it. So the pitch book, right? You actually build it today and you add to it over time. Now, when I sold the first company, I did good, so I'm not complaining. But the pitch book was very stale, wasn't attractive. So when I was building the second pitch book, me and Aaron were building it. We built it, I think, maybe 2 years before. It was years before we built it. But we built it through marketers' eyes. Marketers' eyes. So I looked at pitch books, stale, dry, and I put like magic in this thing, the graphics, the design, the layout. Now, the broker, when we went to the broker, they did tweak it a little bit, but it was still magical. Oh shit, I just thought of another magic thing all right. If this wasn't good so far, sorry, I'm gonna make it really good for you. All right, so now you got to build the pitch book. Because when you build the pitch book, your mind starts creating the reality of exiting, okay? So, and that goes back to, you got to be a marketer, you got to get it built through marketers' eyes. Now, the next thing that we built was they get attracted to the pitch book, Vicky. So they look at the pitch book. And Vicky, why don't you put that down? Aaron, we'll put it down. And why don't we have Vicky work on we'll have her work through the project of the pitch book with Melanie and Cody, because we're partners with them, and we'll work through that process. And so now what happens is a bunch of people read the pitch book and they go, hey, we'd like to meet you. Okay, we'd like to meet you. So we go to a meeting. So this is how it works now. Ready, Justin? I'm glad you stayed. So Justin, we're in the meeting and the guys, they're asking a ton of questions. And I'm answering all of it. And I'm saying like, okay, I understand the value of this, but this is a $100 million company in this size revenue box. And they said, well, how do you figure? I said, well, this is why I figure. Now, this isn't this just a pad for it. As this is how I figure. This is the $100 million blueprint that I built. And they go, can we see it? I said, no, you can't see the $100 million blueprint. If I give you the blueprint, you don't need the company. You'll just go build the $100 blueprint. I said, but I'll give it to you when the time is right, when we get to the finish line. So when we got to the finish line, which was like really close, they said, can we see the blueprint? And I showed them the blueprint. The blueprint was exactly what to do to take it to 100 million. But the fact is, you have to have a pitch book and you want to have the secondary book of value to show them you already know this. The other thing is when you go to exit, never exit out of desperation. That is the weakest position you could ever be in possible, is exiting. Because someone offered me 8 million for my service company 14 years ago. They offered me 8 million. Me and my I had two partners at a time, which for some people was probably good. 8 million, we would have ended up 3 million each. I'm like, what am I going to do with that the rest of my life? $3 million. Like, that ain't going to do nothing long term, right? Whole Foods will take care of that shit in your life. But I wasn't in desperation, and I never in a moment of desperation. So never be in that place, because there's things that can force you into moments of desperation. Sickness can force you into a moment of desperation. Only one person that can run the company can force you into a moment of desperation. So how many of you are going to put an action item to build burnout? Stephanie can do it. Are going to build a pitch book? Tell me in the chat bar. The other thing is, this is probably a good point to put it. Some of you, it won't make sense for, and maybe somebody it does. I'll mention it, but of course, it's just there if it's an option. If any of you do think that in 2024, you're looking for somebody to partner with, and you think that myself and my team and Aaron and we have a whole team, we got copywriters and stuff. Like, if you think we're a fit for you and you might want to do a partnership with me and us, just go to partnerwithmikea.com and fill out the form. If you fill out the form, we'll have a conversation. If it's something I'm not a fit for, I'll hand you over and say, is Jay Abraham a fit? Is Kevin Harrington a fit? Is any of my other friends a fit for you? And I'll do my best to help you out. For some of you, it might make sense. And the whole theory about that, and I'll tell you, if I could rewind time, I would have did a strategic partnership, because it's better to have, I do like this theory. It's better to have like 60% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape. Do you get that? A lot of people have 100% of a grape, and they're never going to scale and grow because they don't understand marketing, sales, operations, systems, exiting. So the fucking runway is, very few people exit wealthy before they die. They normally exit out of desperation, and they exit broke and suffering. And that sucks. Also, with that being said, if you know any baby boomers out there that still got 2 or 3 years left in them, one of our missions is to help baby boomers retire wealthy instead of on fucking scraps, you know, instead of scraps. Tara was teaming up. Do you need a pitch book if you're not looking to exit? Yes. You need a pitch book if you never want to exit. You need a pitch book. You know why? Because it constantly, look, Joey, if somebody came to you, just type in yes or no for all of you. I had a guy, every time I get someone that tells me I'm never going to sell, I said, okay, I get it. I got a $50 million check for you right now in my pocket. They're like, I'll sell. I'm like, so don't tell me never. You're telling me because of your belief system. So the reason why you build it is, if there is a chance, and even if there wasn't, you're building the pitch book because you might position for capital, like Mike was saying. You might position for a banking relationship. You might position for a partnership. And if you have that pitch book, it's a lot easier to do a partnership, which I will tell you, in moving from now forward, there's strength in numbers, everybody. Create as many alliances as you can. But back to the baby boomer thing. If you guys know any baby boomers that are getting out of, they're going to get out of their company, they're going to retire, but they don't know how to navigate AI technology. They don't know how to position for an exit. They're going to close this thing up for a shitty win, or they're going to try to sell it for pennies on buy, biz, sell or something. Turn them over to us, and I'll see if we can help them out, okay, and scale. And you can just go to partner with Mike A if you know somebody. If it's not a fit, it's just not a fit, and we'll help you out. All right, let's keep going. A couple more things I want to tackle before we're done here. AR, like bad AR, people that owe you money, it can't happen. Hold people accountable to fair exchange. Okay, hold people accountable to fair exchange. Otherwise, you're letting them hurt themselves. And that's really important when you're exiting a company, because they want to look at accounts receivable. And if you show that you work with, they don't care that you're owed money. They care that you're working with not great people. And then they're going to think you work with a lot of not great people and there's risk. So they're going to lower the value. If your AR is good, they're going to think you're working with a certain classification of people. And then they're going to go, you work for really good clients. They have a predictable, because normally, you know, high integrity people stay high integrity. They don't normally go from high integrity to crappy integrity, because it's a built-in pattern in them. If that makes sense, type in boom in the chat bar. That's really important. Okay, next thing, and this is Carrie's world. If you guys don't know, Carrie, can you type in the chat bar what you do and a link if people want to find out more? Because Carrie's always running these kick-ass master classes and shit about, you know, money and managing and understanding your numbers. My next one for exiting, financial awareness. If marketing, if the majority of business owners are marketing illiterate, I don't even know what to put on the financial side. Like, it's like whatever caveman is, Neanderthals or whatever they are. Like, that's what people are with their financial awareness and tracking. You need navigation today, guys. You have to have navigation. No one buys a company with shitty optics. They just don't do it. They just don't do it, right? So, like, you got to have really good optics on your company. And so just make sure you understand, and you need a dashboard that you're regulating by. I can't tell you, like, I coached 1,000 companies and I worked really hard on it, and I still don't know if I made enough dent in the world. CEO Warrior is still doing stuff today. If anybody wants to check them out, go to ceowarrior.com. But like, it's just the thing that people fight because they programmed as a kid. Raise your hand if you've ever said this: I'm not good with numbers. Okay. So you really are good with numbers, because you're probably, you know, speed limit, and you know how to put money in your bank account, but you programmed yourself that it's shitty. So just look at what Carrie does there. Some of you might want to reach out to her. The other thing, all software systems, as far as I'm concerned, all software systems suck, but it's needed. Go with the software system that makes the future exit make sense. Okay? If you are working off of an Excel spreadsheet versus a software system, who do you think is going to get more money? Tell me in the chat bar. The person running it off Excel spreadsheet or a software system? Yeah. And software is relatively cheap today. I would tell most of you, stop studying software systems. Like, if you're a one-person show, you got to do it until you're another person, and then don't play in software. Let someone else do it and have fail-safes in place. Like, ask really good questions. I'm watching so many people waste so much time trying to do a skill set someone else can do, and it doesn't make sense to me. I grew like 20+ million, and we had this software called Service Titan, some of you know. I never had a login. I didn't know how to push the button. If everybody's pushing a button, nobody's doing anything else, right? So make sure as you're exiting, if you're the guy or the girl that's always pushing the button, you're like, oh, I always run the reports, your multiple goes down, your value goes down. Everything you're doing, the fucking value goes down. Everything you're leading, like, I'm a leader from a distance. That's why I got rid of my office, because it was running 5 years without me. Value goes way up. Oh, you mean anybody can run this? Yeah, these guys run it. They don't even know when I'm here. Boom. Okay. Kevin Harrington. I think I put in a Facebook post, and just tell me, we've been going for 2 hours. Is this high value of your time? Just tell me in the chat bar so I know. Kevin Harrington, over Zoom, he taught me something that I believe was worth at least $500,000. He said that deals are about teams of smart people to move the needle faster. And I said to him, explain that to me. He goes, well, you know what? He goes, my person that does all the attorney stuff, I don't want to deal with any of that. So I pay him money and he'll get a percentage when the company sells. And I was like, brilliant. He's like, the accounting guy who does the accounting stuff, like, he does all the accounting, and then when it sells, he gets a part of it. He goes, I don't need the whole pie. I just want a piece of the pie, and I only want to do what I'm the best at growing that pie. And I was like, boom. So for any of you that have the chance, to partner with really, really smart people. It doesn't have to be us. There's a lot of smart people. I have lots of connections. Partner to cut out the learning curve and move it faster to an exit. And because you want to get as many exits in your lifetime as possible, because everyone builds on top of each other, right? Okay, I'm going to lightning round these things, right? These are lightning round. We'll see if Tara, whoever's typing, can keep up. First thing, learning never stops. This is the grand finale I'm giving you right here. I got a couple minutes to do it. Learning never stops. You must be able to understand at a higher level new info. I hope you realize whatever change the channel is, it's crazy discounted right now. I don't need you to attend it. You should just attend it, because this is 2 hours and over 3 days of identity building. And even if you went through it once, your identity, I'm going to be teaching a lot of it, but also I'm expanding while doing it. My identity is shifting and I'm changing my identity, which I'd imagine if mine's changing, you probably should change yours too. So, but you have to understand at a higher level. So do whatever you got to do to show up and change the channel. Implement at speed of light. If you suck at implementation, you have a part of your identity broken. You must learn, boom, implement quickly. All right. Next thing, you got to create a vault. A vault is a place that hosts every piece of information that when you sell, when you sell a car, you need, you got to have registration, the license, you want the manual for the car. In the back, you want to make sure you have the jack and and the spare tire and all that stuff. That's a vault. People want to know where's all the stuff. And if you have all the stuff spread out all over the company, a little bit in Dropbox, a little bit in a folder, then you're going to have to find that. And what they call due diligence will be like murdering yourself 1,000 times. I promise you. But if you create a vault, it's very organized. Everything's there. That they were asking me for my cell time. Check this out, Tara. They're asking me for the cell phone bill from our first cell phones that were 18 years ago. Who the hell has the bill from 18 years ago? I don't even know where it is, but they want to find it. Now I know. Build a vault, have everything clean. People need it. Boom, go right to it. All right. Next thing, I told you, speed round. Next one, have a platform for your training processes and onboarding. You got to have a platform there, right there. So when someone buys your company, this is what I learned and I did. They went in, I said, here's all the training. Here's everything you need for the employees right here. Just go right here. And they're like, oh, it's all there. It's all right there. You don't need me for it. See, when they keep owners on, Joey, for what they call knowledge transfer. But if all the knowledge, Lenita, that has to be transferred is in a virtual box, you don't need me. There's the knowledge transfer right there. You get it? Value proposition up, because God forbid they buy it and something happens to you. Knowledge transfer is a problem. So they lower your value. But if knowledge transfers digitally, boom, all in. Your IP, we talked about that. Your IP has power and value. So start treating it as it. People are very sloppy with their IP. Have a victory plan. Joey, I do recommend, my team will get you a link that I think is really helpful. Well, there's 2 links I'll give you guys. And if everybody wants it, do you guys want 2 resources that we use today, every single day, that I think are value? I'll just give it to you. One, I'm a big teamwork fan. So Tara, find the link or whatever to give them for teamwork. I'm a big fan of Teamworks. They have 5 products that work together. I think it's brilliant. I would just use it. They have chat function, project management function, storage. That's one. The other one that I think could also play a part is this platform called Circle. That's where we run our all our Food Dog, Freedom Tribe, Mastery, Legacy levels. A lot of you are in different levels on here. We run it through that Circle platform. We also manage companies that were partnered within it. Between those two resources, you got some really strong and very affordable platforms that make exiting brilliant. All right, you got to have a victory plan. A victory plan. That means every year you're going to build a plan for victory, to win. That's very important. They want to know you have it. You have to have higher level people. It's different today. You could have access to CFOs, CEOs, COOs, CMOs, CSOs. If you don't know what those all are, chief financial officers, chief executive officers, chief operating officers, chief marketing officers, chief sales officers. We have all these functions, and you could get access to them more affordable than ever because they work for other companies. If they are running that stuff for you, boom, high value, high multiple. Okay, let me squeeze in two more here and we're going to close it with a wrap. You don't get, I wrote this and you're probably going to want to write it down. You don't get ready to sell when you're ready. You are ready to sell and always ready. Okay, that's a riddle. I'll say it again. You don't get ready to sell when you're ready. You are ready to sell and always ready. It's very important because life can change, guys. Life can change in your family so fast, and you don't want to have to then figure out everything I just went through. I should have saved you a decade easily. If I didn't, I'm going to whip myself with noodles or something later. All right. Business broker and attorney, a good attorney, I think it's key. Every now and then someone tells me they're going to sell it on their own. Like, I don't try to sell my house on my own because, one, all that garbage they have to do compared to what I can do in my same amount of time, they can never make the money that I make in the same amount of time. They can't. They don't have the thinking and the brain strategicness. Get a broker because they have connections and their job is to fight for the highest value. If anybody ever needs a broker or a M&A, a mergers and acquisition attorney, I have it. If you need a tax guy who's an amazing tax guy, I have all those connections for you guys. Tara, put in the email that if anybody has questions on here, people that are outside our world, those of you in our world, you already know, but outside our world, boom, reach out to us. We'll help you out. Last one, and I made it. Okay, 5 minutes over, but I made it. Don't shiny object yourself out of wealth in the future. Okay? Don't shiny object yourself out of wealth. Some of you, you're doing all this AI stuff and you're AIing yourself out of business. You're not creating efficiency. To do this AI stuff and your people hate their job, they bitch every day, and you're doing AI stuff and your systems suck, and you're doing AI stuff and you don't have enough lead generation and you don't understand marketing, you're making a big problem for yourself. Stay away from it. Do the simplistic, do it really, really well, get advanced later. I'm just telling you, I did the stuff we did very, very well. I was a leader. I communicated value. I changed my people's lives that were on my team. I was passionate. I had purpose. I focused and I won. And then I did it again and won again. The second time was more rewarding because I changed thousands and thousands of lives and impacted. What I'm doing now is changing the globe. So what I'd like to know from you, first off, put the donation link again. Thank you all of you that did donate. If anybody's got $10 more you want to put it in, don't feel obligated at all. We're going to send it. We're going to send it to the charities in the next day or so. We'll split it up and send it. So thank you for that. Thank you for honoring me today and my team and Food Dog Group and everything we do and my dad. Thank you for showing up and allowing me to do this. And also, if we could serve you guys, either you're thinking about a partnership with us, partner with Mike A, or you're thinking about Change the Channel. If any of you want to put team members through Change the Channel, let us know. We'll do bulk tickets. We'll figure something out for you. And also, if you have anybody in the world that wants to attend Change the Channel, you don't want to buy them a ticket, but they're really down on their luck and you know they'll show up for 3 days because maybe they got nothing else to do, come to us, we'll sponsor them. I'm good with that. I don't want anybody to suffer. You let us know. We have golden tickets. I'll give them a golden ticket so that they could show up. Otherwise, I'd love for you guys to give me your one biggest change, shift, thinking, and also thank our team here because they're doing all, I'm just talking the whole time. They're doing all the typing and managing and all that shit. So give them a big thank you there. All right, let's see what you have here. Okay, Jen, were you calling me because you didn't think I knew I was muted or? Yes, my wife was calling me like I thought I was done here or something. All right, a pitch book, Joey. Yes, my man. Multiple cultures. Got to keep really productive day. Yes, keep going. You're welcome. Identity will evolve. Yes. All right, everybody. Love you guys. Have an amazing rest of the night. Happy New Year if we don't see you. Boom.